Okay, then a quick review of the sins which are purged. I mean, the 7 deadly sins. So you have pride, which is an inordinate attachment to our own excellence, whether real excellence or imagined excellence. Envy, which is a kind of sadness at the good of another because it represents a threat, a perceived threat to my good. Anger, which is an inordinate attachment to the rectification of justice or vindication, as it were. Sloth, which is a sadness at the divine good because it's seen as unattainable. And then you have avarice, an inordinate attachment to wealth, gluttony, an inordinate attachment to food, and lust, an inordinate attachment to sexual pleasure. As you progress through these sins, you're purged of them by what Dante scholars call the contrapasso, to suffer the opposite. So like the proud are hunched under these heavy rocks, which they have to bear around the terrace, and the envious have their eyes sewn shut, and the angry are consumed in an enveloping cloud of smoke that chokes them, that they have to cough their way through, and ... So this idea of the contrapasso, seen from a certain angle, it looks like weird. Like, what is it? Is God like creepy in his apportioning of punishments? But then seen from another angle, you can appreciate that what's happening here is God is giving us the medicine that we need to heal from our particular malady. This idea that it's not just a punishment, it's meant for satisfaction, that we're meant to give our hearts to it, to give our wills to it, so that in embracing it as for our good, we show to God a love which redresses the wrong that we visited upon him during our earthly life. So I don't know, like in your practice of the sacrament of confession, like in administering satisfactory penances to penitents, or just in your counsel, what are ways in which you can help draw these connections between the things that we suffer and the growth that God wills?
Yeah, the connection between like growth and virtue, the ridding of habitual sin or attachment to things, whatever. Often, the sort of practice of prayer, almsgiving, and fasting is easily matched with our sin, and ought to have a connection to our need for growth, right? So if someone struggles with gluttony and that sort of thing, it's like, okay, well, how are we going to remedy this? How are we going to move with God's grace to fix this? Well, the solution I find is a more helpful solution I find is to, again, match something. So maybe it's like fasting 1 day a week. And that just might be not eating between meals, or something simple. But that the sort of healing is not just another checklist to do, but one that continually orients our mind and our disposition and our aim back to God. And especially if there are obstacles to that, by checking those and having those be little reminders of okay, I need to perform some act of almsgiving because I'm greedy and I like to buy and so whatever that might be, it's not rocket science connecting them, but having related reminders through our penance, through our sacrifice, whatever, it makes sense. It makes sense to help that way. We do it in other things all the time, so why not the spiritual life?
Father Jacob Bertrand, would you say that you're optimistic about this subscription appeal?
No.
Would you say that you're optimistic about anything?
No.
Well, I am. Folks, go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'd greatly appreciate it. Cheers.